Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. I think it's time. I haven't seen anybody else log in the last few minutes. So, Jennifer, if you'd like to introduce our speaker, go right ahead.
All right, thank you. Our speaker tonight is Marisa Oliva-Rodriguez. She serves the Texas Children and Nature Network as the Rio Grande Valley Health and Nature Liaison. Previously, she managed the Edinburg Scenic Wetlands and World Birding Center for over 18 years. She's a native Texan and a graduate of Texas A&M University with a bachelor's degree in Wildlife and Fisheries Science and a master's in Forest Resources from Pennsylvania State University. Marisa has spent her career helping children and families connect to nature through innovative programming and with the creation of beautiful outdoor spaces. She is a Texas Master Naturalist and a certified Olay, Texas designer, and is raising two young naturalists with her husband, Roy. And her presentation tonight is going to be introducing the Texas Children and Nature Network and its work in the RGV. She's going to talk about two initiatives for our region, the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights and the Library Explorer Adventure Pack program. And one reason I thought this was really important for our chapter to hear about now is that there are volunteer opportunities for Master Naturalists to help out with these projects. So Marisa, if you are ready, we're excited
Hey
for your
everyone.
presentation.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Let me share my screen and then put it on full screen. If you give me a minute. There we go. Can everybody see the screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, hi, everybody. I'm really excited to get to see you. Some of you I know from years past. Some of you are new. So I'm happy to be here. Um, I currently am working for Texas Children Nature Network as the Rio Grande Valley Health and Nature Liaison, and it's a statewide nonprofit organization that works to connect children and families to nature. But prior to this, I ran the Edinburg World Birding Center for about 18 years. I was also the liaison for the Rio Grande Valley for TCIN for a couple of years as well. Oh yes. And Jennifer, yes. So Jennifer asked me if I would allow questions during the presentation. Normally I would, but I put a lot of stuff in here. So in order to get through it, if you guys wouldn't mind, if you could put your questions in the chat, and after the presentation, I'll answer them. But anyway, I've also been with Master Naturalist since its beginning here in the Rio Grande Valley. It's actually where I met my husband, Roy. We were the first class of the TMN chapter back in 2002, I think it was, and that's where we met. And then I helped form this local chapter here in McAllen. But unfortunately, I have not been involved very much in a while. Have kids, kids interrupt your life a little bit. But hopefully we'll be able to get back into things. But anyway, it's great to be here. And I do want to talk to you about some of what's going on, but specifically about a big program that's about to launch in March. So here we go. So just a little bit about Texas Children Nature Network. As I mentioned, its goal is to connect children to nature. And the reason this was found, some of you are probably familiar with Richard Louve's book, Last Child in the Woods. That really began a spark movement in the United States. And through that book, an organization was formed called Connecting, CC and or Children and Nature Network. Sorry, there's a lot of acronyms, a lot of organizations, but Children in Nature our network, which is the big parental organization of TCIN. Anyway, so that organization formed, and it is a lot of government entities across the U.S. are involved, and state organizations became involved. Our state, through the legislator, they actually uh, put Parks and Wildlife and TEA, and they said, look, this is a big issue. Our children are not getting outside enough. They're not exercising. Because of that, there's a lot of health problems that are rising. So we want you to form this organization and coordinate with all the other state agencies. And that's what they did. They formed Texas Children and Nature Network. It was housed within Parks and Wildlife for about 10 years. And in 2021, it became its own nonprofit, but it still works with all of these different agencies, including the Department of Health. And it's headquartered up in Austin. It has a very small staff, but the main purpose of TSAN is to coordinate and network with not only state agencies, but all organizations across the state in these regions to work on issues of getting children outside in nature for a lot of different reasons, one of them being their health. So the vision of TCIN is that we envision that Texas children and their families from all walks of life will spend more time outdoors, engaging with nature for a healthier, happier, and smarter Texan. And that vision comes from a lot of the research showing that as children spend less time outdoors, their health, their happiness, and a lot of their cognitive thinking has suffered through the years, and so that's something we're trying to. So again, why is time outside good for us? And if you guys are involved with TMN, probably for this reason. You know that nature and the outdoors environment is good for us in many different ways, and research supports that. So what time outdoors helps children be healthier physically and mentally. One of the big things that's coming through the research and actually just through data collection and observation is that children or youth today who are entering the military are less physically fit and able to pass those difficult tests because throughout their youth they haven't been moving their bodies the way that children and generations past it who were outside, working outside, playing outside, climbing uneven ground. And because the kids are not developing those muscle memory, and so they're having difficulty. So we're looking at a military that is not as physically fit as in generations past, and that's a big issue. And then just overall, a lot of health factors that have come in, higher obesity rates, higher diabetes, higher long-term physical, diseases that children are developing, but they're developing at an early age. Time outdoors, kids do better in school when they actually have those breaks. And I can tell you from personal experience, the kids are not, my kids especially, have not been getting those breaks, and it does affect them. And they have a harder time focusing when they don't have that time outside during the day. Kids who spend time outdoors have higher self-esteem. They're facing challenges on their own. They're able to accomplish things outdoors that maybe they never thought they could. I'm a good example of that from my early experience in youth, being an explorer post and being always overweight, but being able to hike mountains and canoe and splunk and do all sorts of amazing things. So developing that self-esteem and self-discipline was part of that nature exploration. Feeling more capable and confident. Children are good problem solvers when they spend time outdoors. And, my kids all the time, I don't know what to do outside. I'm bored, because they normally have video games that tell them what to do, whereas they have to think through and come up with their own creativity and imagination. Children are more cooperative with others as they're trying to problem solve. They're more creative. They feel connected to nature. And for us, they're tomorrow's conservation leaders, because we want this world to remain. And we need our children to understand why it's important. So these are some of the things that research has shown and our studies have shown. These are all of the different regions that are across the state that have this collaboratives. We have our own collaborative here in the Rio Grande Valley. We did have a collaborative with, like I said, myself and a lot of the nature folks have been involved with it for a couple of years as it was getting off, but this is the first time that we've had staff, myself included, in some of these areas. And we have three. There's three of us, one of them in Fort Worth, one of them in the Houston area, me down here. And we are health and nature liaisons, and we're actually funded through Department of Health Service money that is utilized to understand and bring together people and do surveys and find out why or what we need in order to have a healthier youth population and what kind of activities. And we're looking at through the nature lens. You can see there's collaboratives all over the state. TCIN has several strategic areas of interest overall. I'm more involved in one, the health, but it's about equity, is the big lens making sure that all children of all demographics are able to access nature. And it may be looking at it through the health lens, the education lens, access to parks, access to nature, and sidewalks connecting to parks, looking through the community lens, and what kind of programs and activities are community based. Networking, that's another big aspect that we're working on down here. Working on policy, that's some of what we hope to influence and here as well, and marketing. So these are the big lenses for the strategic plan for TCAN. So, and I'm kind of just going through a lot of different things, so I'm kind of hitting on a couple of different things. But one of the things that we're looking at, and we've been down here for about a year, looking at potential strategies for our region in order to get kids outside. And so there are a couple of strategies, a couple of nature interventions that are already available around the country, and we're looking at them down here. Some of them have a foothold in Texas, some we're exploring. Ole, Texas is a big one. If you haven't heard about that, that's led by the Department of DSHS. I think that's Health and Human Services, but it's about increasing outdoor learning spaces in childhood centers, and they're doing that as a diabetes prevention program. It's a POD model, but the idea is that children at a very young age, more and more of them are becoming obese between the ages of 0 and 5. And a lot of that is due to inactivity and not physically moving. So by creating these outdoor spaces in these early child care centers, not only are they giving them more time outside for free play, but they're also taking learning outdoors, where the children are moving their bodies and interacting with the environment, and et cetera. And so, and they're learning about nature and the world around them. There are 12 best practices for this. One of the things, as a master naturalist, if you have a background in native plants, in landscaping, even if it's as a hobby, as a master naturalist, you can actually become a certified Olay designer. Right now, I believe myself and Hannah Marble with the City of FAR are the only Olay certified designers. It doesn't mean that I'm a landscaper or an architect. It just means that I can do a workshop helping teachers, preschool teachers, or to kind of design a landscape for their area. And you could do the same thing if that's something of interest to you. It's run out of Texas A&M University. It's one of the things that we can do. One of the big things with Olay is that it is a pretty formal process, and that in order to become an Olay certified site, they have to have a designer. They have to go through an Olay certified architect. They've got to spend some money, but we're actually working with ECHO, with the National Wildlife Federation, to come up with, instead of a whole program, smaller pieces that daycare centers that maybe don't have all that funding at first, they can actually build pieces of the landscape to help them get kids outdoors one piece at a time, because they may have somebody in their back pocket who can build something for them and they just need a plan. So we're trying to work with them to make it easier. They already have some stuff, but they're looking to expand that portfolio. So they may not be an Olay certified site, but they will have a lot of the items they need to help get kids outdoors. So that's one way we're working on it. Green schoolyards, that's really more going towards the elementary up through high school. That's public school grounds that turn into parks after hours, and we do have that. But it's also about incorporating outdoor classrooms, free nature play, loose parks, gardens, less of the formalized playground structures that only allow like one kind of movement, and then creating these outdoor playscapes where kids can be really imaginative and move their bodies in different way, and just be more creative outside. Another thing that the state's looking at, and we actually have a group called the CAB, the Collaborative Action Board, very active in Brownsville, but it's a regional collaborative. And I recently learned this. They actually in 2019 were working on this REIT policy, and we're part of the groups that were advocating to increase, actually formalize. In the state of Texas, we don't have a mandated recess period. We have a mandate that children have 60 minutes of vigorous physical activity through PE or recess, but there seems to be some workarounds because our kids aren't getting that if you talk to a lot of parents. They're looking actually mandating recess, and here it says 30 minutes. From what I understand, they're trying to go to a full hour. And so that's something that pretty much passed everything except when it came time for the governor to sign. He didn't sign it. So right now they're reassessing and seeing if they still have support to move that through to basically formalize and that we have mandated recess time in our schools. We do have, I believe it's mandated that daycares have at least 1 hour of physical activity. I think that's also, they're increasing that as well. But again, the issue is our kids need to be more physically active every day. How do we make that happen? I mentioned Ole, Texas. So just so you can see, 1.1 million kids are in early child care education centers as of 2020. That's a lot of children, and 30% of kids ages 2 to 4 are overweight or obese, and that leads to some long-term health issues. Ole was in 5 pilot cities, but we do actually have a site that is working on certified or working towards certification, and that's the McAllen Nature Center, Quinta Mazatlan. Their playscape is a certified Ole playscape, where that's what they're designing. And so they've been in that process. We also have an echo site in Harlingen at one of the daycare centers. So it's coming here to the Valley, but there's definitely much more that we could do. And again, if you're interested in Ole, these are the 12 best practices, and you could become a certified certified Ole designer and help these daycares design outdoor landscapes that they can put in. And maybe if they can't do it all at once, they can do it piece by piece. But these are pretty broad practices, and they're actually good in lots of different environments. In Edinburg, we kind of incorporated some of this. We didn't do the full amount, but we did some of this. A big one is the looping curving primary pathways. So if you imagine that, it's a connected loop and it doesn't look like a circle, it loops and it moves and it undulates. 10 or more play and learning settings that are around this curving pathway where kids can do different activities. It can be a playground area, a sand pit. It could be like a little house where the kids can learn. It could be a tablescape that the kids can play on, a garden, a water station, anything where the kids can interact. Again, this is looking at pre-K, kids that are ages 7 and under, but you could apply some of these to even other places as well. A multi-purpose lawn where they can run around on, shady settings other than trees. Trees are really important, but sometimes they don't give you shade year round because of the seasons, or they don't, things happen like down here, our bugs, they'll cut the tepuajes and suddenly lose half the canopy. So you want trees, but you also want some more formalized shade structures. Natural loose materials that the kids can play with, they can put in their hands. Designed vegetable gardens where they can learn to grow things, wheel toys, portable play equipment, any kind of support for gross motor activities, whether it's hands or legs or, their whole body. Sufficient trees, edible fruiting trees, shrubs, vine, ornamental grasses, and of course, the one thing that people don't often think about, but is really important, is enclosed outdoor storage and classroom spaces. So that's what's required out of a lay. I think a lot of you may have some experience and could probably come up with some interesting designs. The one thing that the state has done, again, there's multiple government partners involved in OLE, including Parks and Wildlife, and one of the things that they come up with is a child-friendly plant list, but they did it for the whole state. And then that plant list, when I looked at it, I realized that most of those plants aren't native to here. We couldn't get them at our local garden center. So I contacted our local plant people or plant experts, and together we came up with a list. We sent it up to Austin. It's still in process. It's been in process for like 7 months, but I've been told it's almost done. And when they have that, it'll be a plant list that we can share with everybody. It's been vetted so the plants aren't poisonous, they aren't harmful. If kids put them in their mouth or if they eat parts, they'll be okay. And so these are 12 recommended plants for our area, for the Rio Grande Valley. So I'm excited to hopefully have that soon. I will, just so you know, sometime this year, I think in June, July, I'll be presenting to We have a contract with Workforce, and I'll be presenting to the daycare centers and doing sort of a mini Olay workshop, like a tiny 2-hour one, to introduce them to these concepts. And again, just to promote creating outdoor spaces to get kids, little ones outside. Green schoolyards, I've mentioned that as well. I kind of went through it, but stormwater capture, traditional playground equipment, what you guys, or I'm sorry, not you guys, but the master gardeners, their landscape, as hard as it is, I've heard, to maintain because they have so many places, that's actually a really, something like that would be really great for an outdoor learning landscape too. Their classrooms and trails and places to grow things, water features, etc. Some of the benefits of having green schoolyards, and again, think about it not only for the kids naturalizing a schoolyard, which Alan Williams is doing in PSJA, but also turning these schoolyards into parks after hours, so that families have someplace closer to go where they can recreate with their families. It helps with community, with family engagement and community cohesion. You've got schools that are nearby most families. It helps with physical activity, getting the kids and the families outdoors, especially at night when most of us want to go out because it's a little cooler. So, and a safe place, hopefully it's well lit. Social emotional learning as well, beneficial play. Learning, so during the school day and even with families, it helps with their academic performance, having that landscape, increased attention when they discover an insect they've never seen before, right? Or doing something that they've just never seen before, and it kind of opens their mind. An environment, helps with the urban heat reduction, especially when we're putting in these native landscapes versus these big lawns of grass, or even worse, cement.
What's going on?
Wildlife habitat.
Okay.
No, we haven't lost her. She's still.
Did you guys lose me?
No, I'm sorry. Somebody accidentally unmuted.
Oh, okay. And then, as I mentioned, we talked about recess, the importance of recess. This is another issue. If you're interested in getting involved, the local collaborative action board out of Brownsville, I don't know how often they meet, but this is something that they're working on. Or if you're a parent or grandparent or work the school, if this is something that you can, join one of the local shack groups, which is the it's a health advisory committee that parents are supposed to be involved in each, and it's actually mandated by the state. If you can attend a shack meeting for your school district and promote recess and getting the kids outdoors, it's really important. One voice alone doesn't always make a difference. It does help, but the more voices out there about how important it is for our kids to be outside, it's something really important, especially in our area where kids are just getting less and less recess. The other thing is there is a project called Link out of Texas, TCU, Texas Christian University. And this project actually has kids going outside 4 times a day in 15-minute increments. And they they train teachers on how to transition them so the kids go outside quietly, run around and play, get all that energy out, come back in, focus on their work, get their work done. And then they do this 4 times in a day, which they're studying this, and they're showing that it's really helping with the children focusing. So there's less time in the classroom where the teachers are trying to get control, because getting those kids outside, letting them get their energy out, and then back in classroom, they get more immediate control of their kids and get them on their activities. So that's something else that you could look into if you're interested. We looked at a lot of different strategies. We looked at walkability, shaded pathways. There's this movement called 10-minute walk to parks, where anywhere you live, you can get to a park or green space within 10 minutes. There's active transportation, which is where, you don't have to use cars to get place to place. And you guys know in the Valley, we pretty much use cars everywhere because we don't have good sidewalks. So there's a lot of different things that the Valley could work towards, and these are just some of the things that we looked at. One of them, which I'm going to talk about, that was low-hanging fruit, was a Nature Smart Libraries. It was something that I felt like, man, we can make this happen right now, and we've been working on it. It's not a quick thing, but we do have it in process. But there's other things like tackle loaner programs, Parks and Wildlife support. If libraries or other organizations want to host like fishing gear and then lend it out, we can do that. If we want to have literacy, we do have kind of literacy trails, but if we want to do reading gardens, we can do that. There's lots of things, and these can be small projects, these can be big projects. We're looking at what we wanted to kind of focus on as a region. And of everything that we talked about, at the end of the day, what I don't have it here, what they decided to go with, and I'll talk about at the very end, is the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights. And that is, it's called the COBOR. There are cities and states that have adopted these COBORs, and our region decided that each city wants to create their own COBOR. So we are going to be working on that process for the rest of the year and getting that momentum going. And that's, again, something that Master Naturalists, if you'd like to be involved with that, especially in your cities to help form that, that's really important. And there'll be volunteer opportunities with that. Okay. So I'm going to jump to what I called the low hanging fruit, only something that I thought, we could make this happen. It was an idea that really excited me. It's called Nature Smart Libraries. And that's where libraries become these venues for engagement with nature. I'm in a presentation, honey. Go with daddy. Sorry. Do whatever. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. All right. So, yes, I'll be able to share the slide program later. So with public libraries, they can do things like have nature backpacks that they lend, like our state parks do. But the difference with the state park backpack is that you keep it just while you're in the park. Where with the library lending it, it would be part of their lending process, which would be 2 weeks. So the families are able to keep it for 2 weeks. There's things like a seed library where you actually have libraries that have catalogs of seeds that people can borrow, and then it gets donated back. There's other things like creating, bringing nature in, but also around the library grounds, converting their landscapes to incorporate more native habitat as well. So there is lots of different things. I reached out in the very beginning to all of our different libraries to see if this is something they're interested in, and 8 of them said yes, absolutely. And so, and these are the reasons why. Why do we want to go through our libraries? Well, they're going to connect us to children and families that we may not already be connected to, right? A lot of times we're talking to the choir. Right now I'm talking to the choir, but working with the libraries, we're engaging new groups. And then library patrons also get new groups in as well. So it benefits the libraries as well. We're reaching low-income families, which is one of our key demographics, the people that aren't served. That's who we're trying to get to. And working with our libraries will be able to allow us to do that. And of course, strengthening our partnerships and our stewardships. And some of you, I believe, might be involved already with your local library. I mean, you were talking about some of the McAllen Library programs. So this is a good way of doing that. So we worked together to design actually 3 different projects, but the project that we actually got funding for was the nature backpacks. So these nature backpacks, over the course of a couple of months, I've met with the different libraries, and we developed a program that had 10 different themes, and 10 different themes that would be at these 8 different libraries that families could borrow. And Driscoll got excited about the idea and said, we're going to fully fund it. And they did. So they're funding 43 backpacks. This is our new logo. It's not only going to be it's starting here in the Rio Grande Valley. We're going to be the pilot for it, but this is something that TSAN wants to take statewide. And Driscoll is already talking about helping with that, which is very exciting. So what it involves, at least here in the Valley, we have 8 different libraries in Hidalgo and Cameron County. I reached out to everybody, but these are the ones who said, yes, we're interested. Together, we're going to have 43 backpacks, which are 4 to 6 per library in the different themes, 10 different nature themes. Driscoll is also offered to coordinate, and I'm helping with that effort, coordinate speakers from Driscoll. So every month, Driscoll flies in doctors from Corpus, because we don't have our own hospital here. They fly in doctors from Corpus, and those doctors, we're working to have them be speakers at the different libraries every month. In addition to that, we also want to have other programs other nature centers and sites and organizations offer programs so that every library has nature programs, health programs at their library. So we're helping with that effort. Javier Bellon, who's the sponsor for TMN, he actually was very supportive and helped us acquire state park vouchers. So anybody who walks into one of the 3 state parks in the valley, which is Benson, Estariano Grande, and Resaca de la Palma, if they walk in with the backpack, they will get free entry for up to 2 adults or 12 and older. And then, of course, anybody 12 and under is free. So basically, a family of 4 or more little kids can get into the state park for free during the 2-week rental period, which is very exciting. And we're also going to work on monthly, quarterly social media campaigns as well to get people excited. We don't want to just have the backpacks go to the libraries and then they just sit on the shelf. We want them actively used. And so we'll be working on that all year long. This is not our backpack. We're still working on our backpacks, getting everything together, but this is an idea. This is not a new idea. I stole it. This is an idea that's in different parts of the country, and I stole it from Utah. But you can see here is an example of one where they have thematic birding, night, tracks, coastal wildlife, etc. And the contents are ID guides and nature books, activity guides, journals, equipment like binoculars and magnifiers and compasses, plant presses, etc. And of course, park passes. And so we have all these elements in 10 different themes. Give me 1 minute. So these are all of the libraries that we have. So we've got Edinburg, FAR, PSJA is our only school library. They're not going to be part of this launch I'm going to talk about in a minute. We have to figure out them a little separately because they are a school, but I believe they're going to be spreading out their backpacks on different campuses. And then we've got Donna, Westaco, Mercedes, Brownsville, and Port Isabel. And so almost throughout the community, you know, all throughout the communities, at least in Hidalgo and Cameron County, you will have access to these backpacks. And hopefully this is just a start and other libraries seeing this. And if it's successful, hopefully it's successful, they will want to join in. And I have everything developed if anybody wanted to do their own backpack. So the backpack themes that we chose down here is South Texas wildlife, tracks and scats, birds and birding, butterflies and insects, fish and fishing, beachcombing, stargazing night critters, native plants and botany, rocks and fossils, gardening and cooking with plants. That was a really popular one too. And outdoor skill building. Actually, the outdoor skill building is one of my favorite. I think I have one library and I think it's Westaco that has that one. I'm hoping eventually other people like that because that one has some cool stuff. But these are the backpack themes. And then the policies are going to be similar, free with the library card, 2-week rental, renewable if no one, you know, is waiting. So if a family wants it, and then there, of course, there's going to be fines. It's a lot of expensive equipment. So there will be fines if they don't return everything. The idea is to have everything returned for the next family to use, and replacement fees, etc. Of course, they have to drop it off to staff and return it clean and dry. So if you have a partnership with the library, this may be something that you can volunteer to help them with the maintenance, going through, making sure everything is nice and clean and ready for the next group. It does take a little bit of time. We also will include survey forms in English and Spanish. And again, the vouchers are actually the backpack itself. So the backpack is identifier to let them into the parks. Now we're going to have spring break launches, and this is really where I need, where I'm asking for help. We're going to have 7 launches. So just the school district is, PSJ is the only one. We're not doing a launch for it just yet, but over spring break, we're going to have 7 launches where the backpacks will be rentable for the first time. They're going to be 2-hour nature events, and we're asking organizations to provide a tabling event to talk about any upcoming events or activities or things that the families can get involved in. And then we ask that they have a family-friendly activity. So this is a family program, so you know, kids of all ages, adults, etc. And so we would love the Master Naturalist, especially if you are near a library, if you could have a tabling event, or if the chapter could organize tabling events. We have 1 or 2 a day they're pretty much in the afternoons during spring break week. So if you're available and you're interested and you can help, this would be wonderful. I think one library, for some reason, Port Isabel has like 6 groups already, but all the rest of them have 1 or 2 tables, so we could use a few more. Dustin Michael Sikula Memorial Library in Edinburg is the first library up, and they're, they want to know who's going to help. So if anybody can help with those, that would be wonderful. And then the other thing is that we're going to be doing a backpack prep. I'm hoping for 6 to 12 volunteers. I've got 43 backpacks to fill. We also have every backpack comes with 3, sometimes more, because I have the little guides as well. So you can even say 6, like guides or books, plus the equipment, and everything needs to be labeled. Hopefully everything comes together. It's, time crunch is a serious thing right now, but the idea is that on the 4th, which is a Saturday in the afternoon, I think I have 1 to 4 p.m. Is when we're going to be assembling the backpacks and labeling everything. And I could definitely use some help if anybody is available. It is the same day as that presentation. So I understand there's competition. There's competition any day we picked, but if anybody's available, we could appreciate it. And then Jennifer sharing the sign up forms for those that are interested. Okay, so I know I can talk forever, and I'm going to try not to. This is just the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights, just to go over this a little bit, just to give you some background. This is an example of the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights for Salt Lake City, Utah. I love how they put it together. COBORs are a list of outdoor experiences that every child has a right to experience. So you can see in Utah, which it snows and has mountains, they have things like play in the snow, visit a mountaintop, explore a cave. Those are not elements that our South Texas children would have access to, but they have access to other things, right? Or we could be promoting or creating programs that give them more access. Biking, somebody's laughing, yes. Going to the beach, right? Swimming. So there are things that we can do down here that maybe kids in Utah can't. So working together to identify what are these outdoor experiences that we want to make sure every child in the valley has access to, has the right to experience. It's the public facing symbol for the overarching goals for the city or state. So the big thing is that it's not something that the city does or government entity does. Sometimes what happens down here is that our city and governments, they've got money and they put something together real quickly. This is a collaborative effort. This is between the parents, the organizations, the nonprofit city, everybody working together to define what it is and working together to make sure that children have these experiences. COBORs are also used as a messaging tool that raises awareness for the importance of connecting children to nature, and it can be done as a mayoral proclamation, a city council resolution, etc. This is not something to be done overnight. In some of these places, this took 2 years of working together to develop these COBORs, of doing surveys out to the community. So this is something that's long-term and has a lot of moving pieces, and it would be wonderful if Master Naturalists would be involved. I know City of McAllen and City of Farr are definitely interested in here. City of Brownsville's already like moving full swing ahead, and other cities as well are interested. This is just the framework for how it works, getting started, moving forward, activation. And so you can see that at all levels, you have multiple partners from the families, youth committees, grassroots organizations, city officials, and you continue to have these organizations involved through all steps of it. The first part is raising awareness of what Children Outdoor Bill of Rights is. The second part is announcing and developing and then announcing what it is. And the third step is actually providing the activities, providing the opportunities out there for getting the kids outside. And so this, again, if this is something you're interested in, we're starting the process. There's going to be a training, but I don't know who it's open for. I still have to figure that one out, but we'll definitely be talking about this in our upcoming meeting as well. So those are the big projects for the Rio Grande Valley. Going back to TCAN, if you haven't already seen, Texas Children Nature hosts webinars every month. I try to publicize them on our RGV, Texas Children Nature RGV Facebook page. or I'll send them out in emails as they come up. I admit I've been pretty lax on that only because I have so much on my plate with the other projects. But if you go to the main Texas Children Nature page, Sarah promotes theirs as well. And you can always find these webinars after the fact on YouTube. So if you are wanting to listen to like a podcast or something, you can pull up a YouTube video from TCIN, also CCN, and they have a lot of different topics, all relevant, a lot of them relevant to what we do, to learn more about. And so they're available anytime you'd like to listen. And then again, this is, I should have put this in the beginning, but this is me and my counterparts, Jenny's in Dallas and Robin's in Houston. And Jenny has a policy background. Robin has a health background. Of course, I come from the nature background, so we sort of help each other. But all of us are working on issues in our communities. And then other ways to get involved is, again, joining our regional collaborative by attending our meetings. There's also, we're going to be looking for a head for our region. So if you're wanting to organize the regional collaboratives, because it's not really supposed to be my job, and I've been doing it, but if you're interested in something like that, we do need a partner, and that partner would be involved in strategic area calls. And then, of course, I think TMN at large, the national, is a partner, but our local partners, local chapters can be partners as well. And this is the upcoming meeting that we have. It's going to be Wednesday, March 28th at Benson State Park. We're bringing it back to this side of the valley. And if you're interested, you just RSVP with me via email. I'll probably do a QR code in a while, but or just a mass email. I tend to do mass emails and then they can be shared with anyone. But if you're interested, please let me know. That is my contact information if anybody wants to do a screenshot, or I can drop it in the chat in a minute. And then where you can find TCIN, any social media thing you use, we're out there, but mostly Facebook, I would say. But we have all sorts of different channels. And then thank you. These are my two rugrats that were interrupting the meeting. I'm sorry about that, but they're out. And then this is my contact information. Feel free to send me an email or drop me a line. And that's all I have. Can stop the share. Okay, so I did see the chat going. Let me see if I can figure out how to use the chat. I'm not sure.
Did you find the chat box?
I did, but I can't. Oh, it's really small for some reason.
Yeah, we can read them off. It's fine.
Oh, if you want to read them, that's fine. That'll be great.
All right, Patricia asked, is there funding or grants in order to construct an OLA play center? Also, do you have resources or a consultant who can provide guidance on building such structures?
So yes, there is funding. If you have a daycare center that is interested, there's an application process, and I believe there is funding for the daycare or that they can apply for. I don't know if they're guaranteed, but there is funding available, and they're trying to match that up. As far as a certified OLA designer in the Rio Grande Valley, I don't know of anybody, but if you know somebody, an architect, an engineer, somebody who's interested, it's not just TMN, it's actually meant for the professionals. So if you know somebody and want to encourage them to do the OLA designer course, they would then have all the resources available to them and then can be the certified OLA designer. But right now we don't have anybody in the valley to do that I know of.
All right. We also we had questions about the backpack prep. Where is it going to be when, the details on that?
Sorry, and I have that in the link, and I apologize I didn't mention it. It's going to be at the FAR Parks and Rec Center from 1 to 4 is the goal, 3 hours hopefully. Is all we'll need, and that's going to be here on Kelly near Costco. And I don't know if I have the address. I'll drop in the address in the link. I may not have it right now, but I can put that in there. But it's the FAR Parks and Rec building, which is down, near downtown FAR. And then it's going to be on Saturday the 4th. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yes, and if you click the link to sign up, the information about all of that is on there as well. You mentioned other training opportunities, and Patricia asked how you can sign up for those trainings.
So, let me see. So I have an email distribution list for our region, and I basically anything that comes my way, I send it out to that list as well as to like contacts that I have. So I got a email blast. I believe that I sent it to Master Naturalist, the leads. Um, I'm not sure if I have everybody, but if you're interested, just email me, ask to be added to the distribution list, and then any opportunities that I know of or that we're creating, I'll send out. So for example, like we coordinated the recent training for the Texas Forest Service has a curriculum called PLT, Learning Tree, Planet Learning Tree. Anyway, Project Learning Tree. I'm sorry. So we coordinated that training, and that was a training specifically for the young people, for daycare centers and stuff. And then we did the same thing for Growing Up Wild. So we're trying to coordinate some of that as well. Or if anything comes through, I'm sending it out. So just shoot me an email, and I will add you to the listserv.
All right, when I have a second, I'll add your email to the chat also. Michael wanted to know if, for the libraries not signed on to the backpack program, will the backpacks be available on interlibrary loan?
That's a good question. I have to ask the libraries that I have not heard. We have not explored that, or it hasn't been mentioned. So I can ask that. That's a great question. I don't know. But I'll ask, and we'll make an announcement for it.
Right, Maria asked, who can take the Olay designer course?
So from what I understand, master naturalists, master gardeners, landscape architects, nursery professionals, all of those folks can take it. They do, I don't know, I think maybe they do them once or twice a year. They do have a cost, but you can apply for a scholarship. Hannah and I applied for the scholarship and we got it, so we didn't pay anything. I think if you're running a business, they might charge you, but if you're doing it as a volunteer, like Master Naturalist, you probably can get that scholarship. So you would check with the Texas, Texas, gosh, it's a one in Lubbock, the school in Lubbock, I'm forgetting it.
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, yes. So the Texas Tech, and let me see if I can find it real quick. If you Google Olay, but let me see if I can find it real quickly for you, and I'll drop it in the chat. Because it's a specific program within Texas Tech. And I apologize, my computer's a little slow. See, and then you could follow them or reach out to them and just let them know, and then they'll add you to a list and they'll email you when their next course comes up. Texas, Olay, Texas. Sorry.
Was the link in one of those slides you gave to us in the program?
I don't think so, but I believe the link is it's in the Texas Children and Nature website, and you can find all that. Or a lot of times, honestly, guys, I just Google because I usually sorry, I'm having a hard time typing. Olay, Texas. Sorry, my computer is slow and my typing is worse. Let's see if I can find the link real quick because I forget the name of it. There's another organization that does, here it is, it's called the Texas Tech Coalition for Natural Learning. That's who provides the courses. There's another institute out of North Carolina, and I believe it's the North Carolina Institute for Learning as well, that provides courses as well. Those I don't think there's a scholarship with, but you can get the scholarship with Texas Tech. But let me drop this in the chat so you have it as well. Okay. Did it go in?
I don't see it.
I think I've got a.
Oh, I think I sent it to Amanda by accident instead of everybody here. Oh, sorry about that. I put that. There we go.
And then we have, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Lisa asked, she says it's a tangential question, but have you run across any research or programs that focus on the benefits of outdoor times for senior adults?
For senior adults, the focus is on kids and families, and so everything that I'm focused in on is regarding that. So no, I haven't, but I'm sure it's out there. Um, because CCN has a big research library, but again, it's about connecting children to nature. There might be some things about adults in there, but its focus is on children.
All right, that's all the questions that I see.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
several kudos. They seem to be everybody really enjoyed the information. And I know I had talked with Marisa earlier, rather than a bunch of people contact some of these individual libraries and register numerous tables under TMN name. If you want to go through me and tell me which library you're interested in doing a booth at, I will fill out one form for our organization. And then if we have several others that want to volunteer, just let me know if you're willing to volunteer at some of these libraries, and we'll get that going as a group rather than 50 of you contacting 8 of these libraries. That might inundate them. I might not be able to catch up with which booths are being run by who, but I do not mind submitting those forms to the library on your behalf. And then
There's any way
also,
that you can, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
if you could possibly fill out the form by the end of this week, because the libraries, of course, is getting close to it, and they're asking me who's going to be at their libraries. So I could utilize that. I could use that information if you could fill it out by the end of the week.
All right. And then I did ask, in case we don't have, I think one of the questions was activities. Are there suggested activities, or do the packs themselves come with suggested activities? What might you suggest for us to do at some of these booths that we'd be participating at the libraries?
So the big thing that we're finding among families, like when we did the survey, is that a lot of families don't know where to go. So then they don't know what to do when they're outdoors with the kids. The backpacks will help with that, and they're 10 different themes, but each library only has 4 to 6 of the themes. That's what they chose, and so you could try to do a related theme, and if you want, I can share with you which library has what theme. But really, it's more about helping families know where to go when they're wanting to explore the outdoors with these packs and what kinds of things they could do out there. It could be on safety, so we're mixing the 3 things: the nature outdoors and health. So if you want to do, things that they could be safe at, wildlife that they could look at. Of course, we want to do activities in the center. It can be anything. So I don't know what the Master Naturalists have, but the themes are pretty varied. It's everything, right? Those 10 themes are everything. It's astronomy. I know you have somebody here who does astronomy, right? And so if you want
Yes.
to do astronomy, you could do that because there's a night sky backpack. It doesn't necessarily have to be the one that's at that particular library, because we're hoping they'll go to the different libraries, or maybe they can rent them out through the inter library
Interlibrary
loan
loan.
system. Yes. So if you want to do it on butterflies, on plants, on night sky, on tracking, um, any of that would be good. Or related to health, like being safe in the outdoors, bee stings, anything like that. But really, families are looking like where to go and what to do and how to be safe out there.
And I know Javier was on here and he's involved. Are several of our state parks offering passes, or um, before we give information on local parks and everything, do we need to be prepared to advise them what it would cost?
Yes, so it's the three state parks down here, and it's two vouchers for 12, and I don't know if it's 13 and older or 12 and older and under 12, but it's two vouchers. So it covers two adults and little kids, or maybe a parent and, one older kid and younger kids, however they want to. But yes, if you want to share how much it costs, I'm also asking the state park partners as well. Hopefully they'll be there. Some of our nature centers, I'm sending out reminder emails today and tomorrow. But yes, so there's the three state parks are Benson, Estadiana Grande State Park, and Resaca de la Palma. So the parks that are near where the backpacks are located are the parks that they'll have access to.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions? I know you don't necessarily have to um, do it in the chat group, but it's great. And I already have Maria saying she can volunteer at Edinburg Library. And I think the other thing we talked about, Marissa, even if we don't come up with a topic or don't necessarily have people who want to man a booth with activity, could we reach out to the libraries and say, do you need help with setup for that day? Or how else can we help? Maybe you need volunteers at other tables or
Yeah,
just,
I would say I'm only coordinating the booths, like asking people to do that. That's the only part that I'm doing. So if you have a partnership already with the library, or if you just want to reach out to your local library and say, hey, I can help set up tables and chairs or decorate, I'm sure they would welcome it. I don't have a problem with it. I just want to make sure we have enough activities during the nature event. And I can tell you that most libraries only have two. And so I'd like to get a couple more partners or a couple more activity stations at each library.
all right. And my email is there at the end under volunteer opportunities. If somebody gives it some thought and wants to have a booth at one of the libraries, let me know and I can fill out that form for you and see if you need some more volunteers to help you. We'll see if we get other responses. Like Maria said, she can help at Edinburg Library. We'll see if we get someone who wants to do a booth there, and then I can help coordinate that with our members. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Marissa. It's very interesting, a great topic, very timely. Yeah, it's great for us to connect with the children. I have lots of fun leading groups over at Estero, and the children are always respectful and just fun to be around. So I think this will be a good activity for our members.
Yes. Well,
Any other questions?
well, thank you, everybody. I'm seeing Becky and some of the other folks. Michelle, thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving me your time tonight. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you guys in person as we get back more and more into the world. But thank you again, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Now, that does not mean goodbye to the rest of our group here. We will be having our business meeting starting in a few minutes, so stay tuned for that. We have several things to discuss um, and some other opportunities to discuss with you about volunteer and such. So, and those of you that do not care to stay for that, maybe your guest, we won't hold you to the fire and make you attend our business meeting, but thank you for joining us. And I hope you, as individuals, will consider helping at the libraries and getting involved in this program. So thank you, everyone. And with that, we will go into our business meeting.
I just want to remind our new trainees, attending the business meeting counts as volunteer time. So don't leave,
Yes.
and you get a little bit of time.
Yes, and that was 1 hour of advanced training time for Marissa's program tonight. So you can enter 1 hour of AT, and then however long our business meeting lasts, it's 7:30 now. So we'll see how long that goes. I try and move right through them, but we do have quite a bit to cover tonight. So with that, Jennifer, can you do you have a minute to pull up Ronnie's information on as membership director? He was not going to make it tonight, but he forwarded us his statistics and stuff to share with everyone.
1 second. That's the wrong one.
Okay. So look over this report a little bit, and I kind of got ahead of myself. We'll come back to the treasurer's report in minutes of the last meeting in just a minute. Let's go ahead and look at his report while she's got it pulled up. We have 104 active members. We still, from 21, 22, and 23 classes, we have 41 in training. Some of those people in previous classes have not been able to finalize all the requirements, but they're hanging in there working on it. You can see the statistics for the 914 and a half hours logged in and 127 and a half advanced training hours. And we reached out to 465 adult and 42 youth. And don't forget to enter that impact data, like we were talking about WOWI earlier, and the number of adults and children that went through.
And often you may not have that number, but if you do, it's useful to enter it.
And sometimes if I'm at an event, like we'll have something coming up, if you get a door count or an estimate from the people who scheduled the event, they may keep track of the number of people who attend the event. They may give them wristbands and stuff, and they would be able to give you information on the impact you have. So keep that in mind. All right. And then let's go back to the treasurer's report. I know Bill Rich is here, and those were sent out with the agenda earlier today. And Bill is muted, but Bill, would you like to address the group? Do you have any comments?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't bring it up. My first time to do this, but the book's balanced.
That's the important thing. And you do have that treasurer's report that was attached to the agenda that was sent out, or along that same message, if y'all need to review that. Otherwise, we will file those for audit when they will be reviewed in more detail. And also, the minutes of the last meeting were attached. I did those in the absence of Leslie, and I wanted to go ahead and get them done pretty quickly because since that was our voting on our bylaws, I had to submit that to the state by the end of January, along with our bylaws that were um, voted on at that meeting. So I did both of those and got them done real quickly. And thank you, Leslie, for being here tonight. I think she's still out in California. Or did you wind up getting back in town, Leslie?
I am still in California, Donna.
All right. Well, thank you for pitching in and working so hard on these minutes and stuff. And if anybody has questions about that last set of minutes from the January meeting, just let me know and I'll be sure to make any corrections that anybody identifies. Otherwise, we will accept them as printed unless I get any note of possible changes. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Leslie. Okay, let's go back down. We looked at Ronnie's information under membership. How about Ann and Jim on the training class? How's that going? Ann, you're muted.
Try to be quiet when people are speaking. I forgot I wasn't on. It's going well. We have a field trip coming up this Saturday and Sunday, believe it or not. But our t-shirts came in for the new class with a little glitch. We're short one t-shirt. And so Donna or Joseph, somebody could send out a request to the membership that we're going to put an order in because we need 23 t-shirts. They won't do less than that. And they're $20 a piece unless they're large sizes. And then they add $1 to $2 for the larger sizes.
Joseph
Okay.
suggested, might we be able to offer long sleeve shirts too?
We did
We'd
last
have-
year. You'd have to check with the printer and see.
Yes,
if
and
they
they'd have
that
to
and what
order
the
them, and
price.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they would order. I had to order a certain number or not, but
Last year, I
I-
think we only had like two or three long sleeve shirts. They didn't.
in that
bother.
green,
Yeah.
that green color.
So I just thought maybe with, everybody has green t-shirts, but maybe a lot fewer of us have the long sleeve shirts. And if you're interested in that, that's another option. Might get our numbers up a little more.
Right, okay. Do you want us to check with the printing company before we
Yeah, make sure that's an
ask
option.
about the long sleeves?
Yeah.
Get 'em?
And we can remind our members that they might want new shirts so they're nice and fresh looking for our annual meeting. I know both of mine have little snags and holes in them from being out so much. So I know I'll order one or two. So I think we can make an order of 24, 25 with no problem. But we'll get something out on that.
All right, and right now it is on the website, but don't order yet, just in case we need to adjust the prices.
Right.
We'll send an email pretty soon.
Hey, Jim, could you send an email out to MGM Printing, ask about long sleeves and prices?
Doing it right now.
Okay, good. They won't talk to us on the phone. It's hard to even go get in touch with somebody. I had to go back to workrooms. Yes, Bill.
And first of all, do you have I need a receipt for those shirts, the delivery ticket, Carl?
Oh, I remember you told me that. Did we get anything, Jim? I don't remember them giving anything but the shirts.
No, but I'm sure they could provide it.
Okay. You could ask them about that too. Maybe they can email it to you, a receipt that we
Delivery
paid.
actually receive the merchandise. That's an audit item.
Okay,
And
all right.
any new shirts you're going to put in, how are you going to justify that on the budget? Where does that go?
Oh, you mean what line item will we take the money out of?
Yeah, or will it be an extraordinary item? That you need to decide that. Or will it
Well,
go into
everybody
the
pays,
budget?
everybody will pay. The people in the chapter order a t-shirt, they have to pay for their own. We just be putting one more on the, since we're short one t-shirt, we have to put one more on for the t-shirts for the class. But the other people are gonna pay for their own shirt and there will be no charge to the chapter.
All right.
Let me
Okay,
just give a little bit more detail. I made a mistake in counting the number of shirts we needed, and 2 XLs were now one short because of my mistake. But we have one extra of XL, X, and medium. One thing we could do is ask the class if anyone would consider using an XL instead of a 2XL, and we don't need to do anything more, but I'm okay with ordering another 24 if the chapter wants to do that too.
that's
Yeah,
a good idea.
there's several people who indicated interest, so we'll see what all we come up with for an order. And it might not be bad just to have some extra ones around then.
Yeah,
Sean just
that's what
wrote
we
in
thought
in chat, he'll take an XL, so that may solve our problem right there.
Well, no, the problem is I need a 2XL. Oh,
I
wait.
know, but Sean's in your class.
Oh, problem solved. That's right. Thank you, Sean. So if Sean could take an XL, then our immediate problem is solved. So the next question is,
Yay.
do we want to put out an order for the chapter to consider?
Yes, anyway, for the annual meeting in the fall.
Yeah, we can, but we don't have to be in a big hurry now.
That's
Right.
right. Thank you, Sean.
Okay. Teamwork. Anything
Yeah.
else on the class?
I just want to say how impressed I am with this group. Just an amazing class this year, I think. Very active. Like you see Sean volunteering immediately. I mean, this group is just with us in every step, and I'm just really, really pleased how the classes are going and how the field trips have gone.
All right. Well, thank you both very much for all the hard work you're doing to get this class going and together and get them certified and everything. All right. Next we have anything else? Okay.
I'm good.
If we can go to River for awards and recognition.
Yes, hello, everyone. Good evening. We have 9 awards, but before I say that, I do want to comment on Jim's observation of how active this class is. We already actually have 2 trainees that have reached enough volunteer hours and AT hours to initially certify. All they have to do is finish the class. If only we could do the classes all in one day. But that's and we have many that are putting in volunteer hours already. It really is amazing. I'm very, very happy about that. Okay, so on our awards today, I'm putting it in the chat so that Leslie can get it and everybody can see. But we have 5 members that have already recertified, and they are Joseph Connors, Donna Otto, River, and Anita Westervelt, and Ann Mayville. 5 already. That is great. We do have 1 initial certification from the 2022 class, and that's Victoria Guerra. And I think Vicky's not here, but everybody else that I'm going to mention, they are here tonight. So that's great. Then we have 3 100-hour milestones, and that is Luz or Maria Pickens, Bill Rich, and Jim Geary. Yay. Then we have 1 500-hour milestone, and that's Janie McGee. So congratulations, everybody, and new class trainees. Oh, and by the way, there are 15 new trainees at the meeting tonight, so that's wonderful. Anyway, good night, everyone.
Congratulations, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, and as you can see, those of us that initially certified early, we're all officers. So if you ever want to be an officer, you too can get lots of hours in very early in the year. So thank you,
Donna,
everyone. Yes,
I just want to say, you said initially certified, but you meant recertified.
recertified. That's right. Thank
And
you.
thank you for bringing that up, Donna, because I did want to mention that too, that, we are always willing to have others come in and take some of those hours away from us.
Yeah, yeah, and just because you're a board member doesn't mean you have to put in that many hours. There's some of us we were putting in this many hours before we were board members, and some of us put in less. As long as you get the stuff done, the more of us doing it, the less we each have to do. And the more we can do fun outside stuff.
Exactly. Share the wealth.
And again, thank you everyone for your efforts to certify and recertify and get those volunteer hours in. They are, y'all, recognition is well deserved, so thank you. Okay, I have communications committee. That's Anita. I know you've been doing some blogs and stuff lately. You want to comment on that?
As a matter of fact, I have not done a blog. I've been too busy. So I owe a blog, but I am doing the newspaper articles, and it was on the birding, the great backyard birding count this year or this time, and I want to put in another plea to any of the new members who might like to consider being on the communication committee. Just I'm sure my email is out there somewhere, but that would be good if any of you are interested in that. And I'd like to commend the ones in our new class who were helping at Wowie. That was great. They helped. They knew what to say. They pushed seeds to all the natives. Anyway, that's all I have to report, other than I really would like to see a strong interest in the iNaturalist for the City Nature Challenge that will come up probably end of March, early April. But it's valuable for the individuals. It's valuable for the world of nature. That's
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. And Joseph, did you have anything to comment about the being webmaster, or the IT stuff? I know you used new headsets at one of the
Yeah.
field trips.
Our IT department stuff has gotten, I haven't been paying much attention to the website lately, but at our January board meeting, Kathy Ton suggested she had an audio, I think they call it audio tour guide system. And it's a little thing you carry around, and it has a earpiece. And we have to give our speaker a transmitter. So we bought 60 of those, 30 for our class, and then we have enough for class growth and for our bigger field trips, and in case some of them get lost or broken. But they turned out way better than I thought they were going to be. We could hear John Brush was talking about plants, and everybody at the back could hear, and it was so nice to have. So that should really help with our everybody learning at our field trips much better. Nobody's going to get left out.
So both Kathy and Tom for suggesting that, and Joseph for exploring that. And yeah, a couple of comments about how well they worked for the field trip. And Joseph happened to mention to the state people on their visit down here that we were getting some of those, and they had some that they didn't think had worked that great, so they offered them to our chapter. So we have more that have we received those from them?
I emailed her recently. She was out of the office a lot, so I don't know yet. But she asked if I wanted to look at them, and I said, that sounds good to me. I'll see. They may be, if they're not as bad as she thinks they were, we can figure them out. They may be usable for our state meeting. We've got enough for us, but for the state meeting in October, we have enough maybe for 2 field trips, and whatever they've got for field trips, the whole TMN group could really benefit from what we've got here.
Many thanks to Joseph. What a great field trip experience it was for everyone to hear everything loud and clear. Made a huge difference, in my opinion, to the information that was available to the students during the field trip. Thank you, Joseph. Really, really great idea.
And thanks for Kathy Ton for talking us into it. I was skeptical to begin with, but I'm very happy with them now.
I have a suggestion. Don't let the state know how good they worked, so they don't want them back.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Joseph. Appreciate your work researching those and getting those lined up and testing them out. And
I got one more thing for on our IT department. Since we were hanging out with the state people, they had a webcam called the Owl in their car with them. And in the past, they had loaned those out to different chapters that were doing live meetings or hybrid meetings. And so I said, can we borrow that one? And she said, yes. And we're working to plan, heading toward hybrid meetings in April, hopefully. So we'll get to try it out, and it looks good so far.
That's a permanent borrow, right? Just
no, we have when they'll use it for their state meeting, so we'll probably lose it after that. But maybe by then we won't have to be doing so many hybrid meetings. It'd be nice to be all in person for some point.
definitely. All right. Anything else from that department on communications or web stuff?
Well, I could mention our website fee went up a little bit. We use Wix. They just increased their prices, so it wasn't too much.
Yep. So we put that into our budget for that increase, and you got to pay for what you need. So not a big strain on our budget at all. Okay.
I'll put in the chat a link to what the Owl is if you want to check that out, and a link to our speaker system so you can check that out too.
Okay. And I know Kathy Ton was not going to be here on video, but I was looking to see if she was still on. Yes, I see their phone. I know she has been real busy lately, but I do want to remind you of our annual meeting October 12th through 15th, and when we come down to the area on volunteering, we'll mention more of that at that time. So we'll go on from there unless Kathy wants to speak up, but I don't see her speaking out to us. So, okay. Advanced training. Okay, so if you're looking for an opportunity to be on the board and help, we do need to fill a position of advanced training director. This person does keep track of advanced training and share it, the advanced training opportunities, and share it with our members. Currently, I've been doing that. But I'll be more than happy to share that responsibility with somebody, and you can text me or email me sometime if you're interested in doing that. Right now, all I listed was the TMN Tuesdays. They just had one the other day on the ecosystems. The one coming up March 14th is talking about the Texas Water Specialist Program. Several of us in the chapter have joined that program, have certified it to take special training, and so you can find out more about that and how you volunteer to get your hours in under that program that you need. So that should be quite interesting. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Susan. And there's several things listed under volunteer service.
Well, there is a lot going on right now. So without telling you what it is, I'm just going to ask you to raise your hand and say, yes, I'll do it. And then I'll fill it in. I don't see any takers. Okay, we just got a lot of information from Marisa, so I'm not going to go over all of that. There is a summary of those library days on the agenda. Let's see here. Estero school trip for Friday, February 24th has changed to Thursday, the 23rd. And they will also have them on the March 24th and March 30th. Actually, you guys can read through these. The Home and Garden Show. Robert, did you want to say anything about the Home and Garden Show?
Okay, Home and Garden Show. It's a 3-day event. This all now April 1st, April 2nd. So we'll need a whole lot of volunteers for that. You can sign up now, or you can sign up as we get closer to that date. That way, you'll know that you will be there. So we won't come up with a schedule until the probably a week before the event. So if you sign up, just tell me which days, whether either Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or if it's AM or PM. The dates, the times are Friday. I had it here. Okay, Friday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Of course, there's a setup day on the Thursday, but I think only the people that are going to be taking plants will volunteer for that. But I'll let you know. And then, of course, the taking down will be on Sunday after the event. So whoever's there in the afternoon will take care of that. Again, all this is volunteer hours, so you'll have that opportunity there. We do have a booth where we're going to be talking about using native plants. Myself, Anita, and Bill, and I keep forgetting the last name, Rich. I don't know why. Bill Rich. We are the committee members for this event. We encourage you to pot plants, and we've been talking about that. Again, it's wise if we can do that probably by the end of next week, because after that, I don't think the plants will recuperate. So if you have any plants, please pot them before that date, March 31st. February 31st, February 28th.
Robert?
Yes, sir.
Might have people, when they know what kind of plants you're going to send, even if they think they might send it in so we can start making the labels, developing the for them. And even if you at the match say, oh, no, I'm not bringing this, don't worry. Better to have too many than not enough. It's easy to make a label.
Thank you. Yes. And so we'll be, Bill will be working with the labels. So let us know what kind and how many. to either one of the three of us. Also, we will be, of course, promoting the organization, talking about its goals and objectives, the TMN, and of course, the chapter. What else? What else? Okay, the speaking seminars, as I talked to you about earlier, those of you that were here. So far, we have 3 committed members who will do speaking events during the 3-day event, and that's Anita Westerville, which she will be talking about Don't Kill It Till, and I think she's done that before. Bill Rich will talk about passion vines, and Jennifer Richtoric will talk about light pollution and its effects on the plants. And she will also have a setup there at the table itself. So it's a lot going on. Again, I'm sending out an email as soon as this meeting's over, or tomorrow morning with more information. But contact any of the 3 of us if you want any of your questions answered. If you have questions about it, let us know, and we will answer that for you. Again, volunteer hours for manning the booths, and then AT for if you attend the speaking seminars. And we do encourage that because we want to lend our members support for that. Yes, ma'am. Anita?
I just want to mention that I wrote a blog about potting up plants, and it's pretty intricate, explicit. So it's on the website, our chapter website, under blog, and it's the January 22nd. What's that plant?
Okay.
And I think Bill Rich has, he's pretty shy, but he's offered to, if you contact him and need help, he can kind of demonstrate, go over and help you, show you how to pot up plants. I know you think that, oh, well, anybody can dig in the dirt and pot up a plant, but there are some easier ways to do it than that. And I would like to encourage anyone who would like to, it's twofold here, because one of our members is trying to rejuvenate the Speakers Bureau list. And so if you think about what you have to speak about and you've got some PowerPoints and you want to refresh them, that is important for the Speakers Bureau, but also think about if you have something about gardening that would fit into this Home and Garden show, contact me or, of course, Robert, if you want to be one of the presenters.
Thank you, Anita.
Okay, that's all. Thanks.
And yes, and we talked about when we met this past week, we also decided that next year, of course, we want to make, since we're going to be doing this every year from now on, we got to make it better. So next year, Bill suggested that we give a class on how to pot plants, maybe around December, January. That way, we all will be trained for that.
Yes, and I know, I
Okay.
believe some individual had asked, do they get volunteer time for potting the plants? And I would say so. You're getting stuff ready for our chapter, and I don't know what you put your time in under, Anita or Robert, but yeah, that's volunteer time. You're working for something for our chapter project.
I do
That's
have that
true.
information, and it's, I think I sent it out, or if I didn't, I'm gonna send it out on this next email. What to post, any hours that you contribute to this, if it's potting the plants, or if you're gonna be part of the informational booth on those days. Anything that has to do with the Home and Garden Show.
And anyone who builds a PowerPoint also earns volunteer time as they're designing and working on that PowerPoint. Same with writing articles. And that, by the way, thank you if any of you contributed to the deadline on Sunday for the spring issue of the Chachalaca.
I
So,
did include that in the Chachalaca also, so be on the lookout for that. I did write an article about the Home Garden Show.
Okay, thank you for that update. And Anita, thank you for the perfect segue into the next item on my list. You read ahead, I know. Okay, I have been making inquiries and trying to update our Speakers Bureau list. We are missing some key people for various reasons. Either they've moved or they've passed away, and some of them, I inherited a list with some blanks on it. My immediate need right now, I'll do a little background. I've been in conversations with the public services librarian at McAllen Public Library. She is wanting to do a Texas Master Naturalist series in conjunction, getting weird messages, sorry, in conjunction with our chapter. So she and I talked over several of the topics as they were listed on our website, which is quite old. And she said, yeah, fine. But then further communication, we discussed, she wants it to be an interactive series. And I said, okay, that would be up to the individual presenter, but you guys could work out what you were doing. And then she sent me a tentative list that had some general topics. And I said, great, can you be more specific? Well, I got the more specific list. And we really don't have people doing those right now, except for Joseph with his spooky spiders. We have some people who might be doing it, but who are not on my list. And I may know who you are, but I may not. The first one is container gardening. And I did point out to Belinda that June, July, August, September, she's starting 6 months, starting March to September. A lot of our people are gone for a lot of those months. So that's just part of what we're looking at here. So for April, she would like something on container or beginning gardening. That is also the day of the Home and Garden Show, that first Saturday in April. So if anyone would like to, we've got several people who are great at gardening and planting. I don't know if anyone's done something specific to container gardening. The same with planting herbs. I don't know if any of our generalist plant people have a particular interest in that. Then June, caring for your plants. I, of course, immediately thought of Anita. Yes.
I have a canned program that I did for the Master Gardeners on 6 herbs in my garden.
Would you like to volunteer for that one in May?
Sure.
Let me interject here. Susan, I've seen those 3 topics, and it's not, and I know somebody's going to yell at me, it's not for us. It's Master Gardener stuff she's wanting.
Well, for these first 3, it is. And then for July, August, and September, she gets into the birds, the spiders, and the bats. So I might refer her to the Master Gardeners because we do have a lot of overlap.
Well, that's true, but it's not okay.
I know.
Herbs aren't native. That's one of my points.
True. Yes.
And container gardening, I know Jan Miller does wonderful container gardening. I think even Ken King does, but most of us put it right back down into the ground.
Right.
I don't know. I just, I think it's.
Can I call you and let's talk the next couple of days? I'd like to talk to you some more about this particular thing, and we don't need to take up.
Oh, you're right. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk then, because I have some misgivings on that.
Yeah. Oh, I do too, for a variety of reasons, like just coming up with things, because our bat person, we don't have a bat person at all.
Unless anybody from our new class that's here tonight, are you interested in bats? Want to do a presentation sometime soon?
We have a bat detector and some fun toys to play with.
But we don't have anybody that knows how to do much with them. So if you're interested and want to learn, we'll teach you what we know, what little we know.
And yeah, exactly. And Bill, would you,
This,
hold on just a second. Bill, would you please email me the titles of the canned programs that you have? Because I had your name down. I was going to get to you in a minute because your name was put in informally, just written in to the side of my list, but I didn't have a specific areas to plug you into. If you could email me with those, that would be very helpful.
I can tell you right now, it's called 6 Herbs in My Garden.
But don't, you have more than one, because I've heard you speak before. Don't you have some other programs that you've done also?
This is all with the Master Gardeners, and I've done
Ah,
basil, I've done herbs, I've done gardening tools, so
okay.
a number of things.
I have an omelet in a pot presentation that I did for Master Gardeners.
Okay, well, I'll work on that with you guys individually.
Okay.
Because yeah, I think we may want her to rename this not Texas Master Naturalist series, but incorporate some of this under the Master Gardener umbrella. But we'll chat about that. Yes, Bill.
Just think, I'm talking about herbs, and this has nothing to do with Master Naturalists. I get credit for herbs and Master Naturalist source.
I'm not sure, Donna.
Well, I think, yeah, we can discuss it. If you're also a master gardener, you may prefer putting it under your master gardener, even though you found out about it through the Master Naturalist program. So
I
we'll discuss.
am no longer associated with the Master Gardeners.
Okay. So yeah, then you can get credit as a master naturalist talking about herbs because it's a presentation they've requested through our organization.
To us.
So.
For the birds, yeah, I don't have anyone specific except Anne, and Anne is going to not be here in July. So are there any, and they just want a general presentation on birds in the Rio Grande Valley. So
I might be able to help with that, Anita, if I'm here in July. Jim Gary.
I'm sorry? Who said that?
Jim Gary said that. Also, somebody who could be good at that, I think he has a presentation, is one of your trainees, Ryan Rodriguez, the 15-year-old kid.
Yes.
Completely agree.
Our new trainee that.
Yeah. Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan.
And me. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So hopefully anyone who saw my email this afternoon, which is narrowed down just to these specifics, will respond to me so that I can keep it straight. And because I've jotted down notes, but it would help me if I would just get an email saying, yes, I'll do so-and-so on such and such a date and tell me your name. Because then I would like for each of the people who's interested in doing it to contact Melinda directly to talk about the setup of the, she can be flexible. And so to the extent that you want to talk to her about what you're doing and she'll have questions, I think that would be better for each volunteer to talk to her individually. So we will go from here. Thank you guys very much. And do I have anything else?
I wanted to mention the
annual meeting was on the next page. Yes, we are going to need a lot of help for our state meeting in October. Donna, you've been more involved with that at the president's level than I have.
Yeah.
Do we need to start collecting names at this point of who's going to do what?
Yes, that was next on the agenda. I do want to go back and mention Nature Night. The Vanguard Academy and Picasso invited us again this year to participate in that. Diane Roman Goldsberry renewed her dues because she wanted to do that particular thing. So she's in charge of that booth and would like 3 or 4 volunteers to help. I helped her, and I know 2 or 3 other people did last year. There were very many adults and children that attended that event that were Spanish speaking only, and it was a wonderful benefit to have a couple of our volunteers, for those of us who couldn't speak Spanish, to be able to communicate well with those families that came through. So I would encourage some of those members to help with that event. And
And
you can let, what's that?
and there was one volunteer already, and I forwarded her email to you.
Right,
And
right.
we have,
So,
that's good. We got one volunteer at least. Okay.
and then McAllen Nature Center has reached out to us. They want to reconnect with TMN, and I think it's very timely, and it may be because I think one of our students is involved with them, if not more than one student. But they do want to reconnect, so we can expect some volunteer opportunities there. And I just put in the agenda their general number rather than the manager's number. I think Susan will be contacting him to see if he has specific dates and times for specific volunteer opportunities. Otherwise, if our members want to just touch base with them and say, how can I help? I think it'd be most appropriate. And that leads in to the reason it's appropriate is because of our annual meeting that's going to be at. So, keep these dates in mind it's on the third page of our agenda for this evening. Thursday, October 12th, they will be setting up, moving in all the meeting room projectors and microphones, owls, and whatever else they need in each of the 12 speaker rooms that they have. There'll be 12 concurrent speakers. That'll be on Thursday. They'll be setting up the volunteer table. They'll be setting up the silent auction. So all hands on deck for that. Registration starts Thursday. They weren't specific about times yet, but keep these things in mind. So Thursday and into Friday, we'll be having people coming in to register. There may be even a couple of other things after that. If people sign up for one-day options, they were looking at that as an opportunity rather than sign up for all 3 days, or Friday and Saturday. You could opt for one day maybe. So, and after the initial registration packets, which the chamber there is already working on packets for members, attendees, you would just help direct traffic and tell them what's going on in different classrooms and where restrooms are and all that type of thing. During Friday is the day they're going to have most of the speaker presentations. They want room hosts for each of those 12 rooms, and they have the option for an additional 12 rooms should we have that many speakers come in and volunteer to do presentations. So we might need 12 or more room hosts, and you certainly don't have to do that all day long in one room. If you want to cover certain hours, keep that in mind, and we will have people that are going to be organizing those room setups and who's going to be those hosts at the different times. There will be a silent auction and fundraiser. It is ongoing. There's lots of stuff that'll be done ahead of time to solicit items for the silent auction, but that Thursday, as people bring things in, they'll need people helping set up the silent auction area. The state has all the bid sheets and other stuff. They'll have the cash box. They'll have the card reader for credit card payments and such. They have all that they'll bring with them, but they will need help manning all that. And they will have communications ahead of time for soliciting items to be donated. The photo and art contest is totally virtual, so whoever takes this on has to accept all the photo and art entries, categorize them, set up a program where they're judged, and then get the results all done virtually, and the results will be presented either that Thursday, Friday, or Saturday at the annual meeting.
Oh,
And then there
the
are
photo thing. She said you don't have to be a technical person. You don't have to be an art person. It's just you need enough computer knowledge to scroll through the photos and make sure that they're in the right category. It's not going to be a major thing. You just, if somebody's in the wrong category, you email them and ask them which one are you supposed to be in and get it adjusted. So I don't think that's going to be a giant volunteer job.
And then there will be pre and post field sessions. And those are being determined. We've been submitting sites and other information from our chapters. Some of the committee members have been working on that in a shared folder. So if you have ideas, we've already got a pretty comprehensive list to them, and they did visit some sites while they were here for their visit. Was that just earlier this month? Seems like forever ago.
Yes, it
But
does.
yeah, and the thing is, on some of these, they want to know if our chapter wants to take total responsibility. Do we want to take total responsibility for the registration for the event, or do we just want to provide volunteers? Do we want to take responsibility for organizing the room host and volunteers to be sure those are tracked and everybody is lined up to have hosts at certain times? The silent auction and fundraiser, do we want to commit to organizing all that? And go ahead, Bill, you had a question.
I want to be aware of the fact that I have been contacted by the other group.
Can't hear you.
You're not muted. We just couldn't hear
Hear
you.
me now?
Yeah, just lean closer to the mic there.
You should be able to hear me.
Yeah.
Yes, we hear you better now that you're closer.
I'm not. It's in my hearing aid.
Oh,
It's I can sit back like this, you hear me just as well. But when we think about this, let's think about the people on the other end of the valley. They're going to help us too, I think.
Yes.
They seem to be interested, and when we get done here, Donald will talk about the money and the money, what it costs to attend and things like that before we completely finish this.
I
Yes.
say we say yes to all of it.
Are you going to do it all?
Well, the option is to farm it out to other chapters, Bill.
Well, no, we're going to
No,
be
right?
sharing some with the other chapter. We're not going to
No,
take it all
right.
on because we don't have enough people, especially when half our winter tech membership is gone. But
I think well, here's what I meant to say. First of all, if our combined chapters don't want to take it all on, they will be farmed out to neighboring chapters or other chapters in the state. That's why with the combined chapters, I say that we take it all on. The 6 items you've got, well, the 5 items you've got on the agenda, I think both of our chapters could do that.
I think so.
Together.
So what I'm asking is for volunteers to step up and tell me what they want to take charge of if they're willing to take charge of one of these areas.
I'll do
idea-
registration.
You'll want to do what?
Registration.
Okay.
I'll do the silent auction.
Okay.
Oh, good.
No, Ann, are you going to be here?
Uh,
Was
Yeah.
it Ann that said she'd do the silent auction?
yeah, that's in
Okay.
October. I'll be back.
But there's a lot of computer stuff for the silent auction, and you did not read your emails and you do not answer emails. Are you ready to get statewide participation telling who's going to be bringing what and you keep track of all that? That's a big job. That's not just the day they walk in with stuff. And
I wasn't aware of that. I worked at silent auction at our annual meeting and they made
Yeah.
up pictures as the stuff came in and people from our chapter donated it and they put it on the tables and they made room and it was work, but it was there and all day before the silent auction. And
They're
then
talking about
so, yeah,
planning this stuff ahead of time.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We can volunteer to do these activities, but
But
that's a
aren't in
lot of
charge
work to
everything.
volunteer to be in charge of it because they have to send out regular notices to solicit for the silent auction items. They have to receive that information from everybody who's bringing in stuff so they know how many items to expect, be prepared for stuff that is just brought in at the last minute. And so there's a lot of pre-planning that goes in. But yeah, if you want to work on the silent auction, that's great. There is the comment that we would be getting, if both chapters shared the silent auction, then we would split the proceeds. I don't know what the dollar amount has been in the past, but we do our own silent auction and get $700. I'm not sure if that would be any more than we could expect by sharing with the other chapter.
thousands.
I
thousands.
think that Barbara Pete helped with the silent auction. I think the Rio Grande Valley chapter took charge of the silent auction when the annual meeting was in Corpus.
Right, and I
Right.
worked with them elbow to elbow through the whole thing.
What?
Right.
I worked with the RGV when they were in charge of the silent auction.
So maybe you can help co-chair that so that both chapters can work on the silent auction together.
That's a
Would you be
thought
willing to
too.
do that?
I'm
So
gonna
that
call them up and I'm gonna find out what, I don't think they don't solicit. The people who were, they didn't solicit, the state office solicited and told them to bring the stuff at the silent auction. They didn't contact
Okay.
people
Are you
that
okay?
I'm aware of.
That we were at the meeting with them discussing what they wanted us to do, and that's what they said has been done in the last several years.
That they put out solicitation to
No, the-
people
Whoever's in charge of the field of
to donate.
the thing, the auction,
Now-
you send out the email. Well, everybody, there's all kinds of people who be sending out emails. Like if I have a contact at like a car store and I ask them, can you donate a car? Probably isn't going to happen, but if it did, that's not what you're emailing. But you'd be coordinating to make sure that car shows up and like the information on the auction sheet so people know ahead of time what's going to be there. And I think it sounds like a pretty big job to be the one in charge of it.
And you're talking about contacting the other chapter. There's going to be a committee meeting with the other committee members to discuss this. And that's what I'm getting prepared for is who in my chapter is willing to do what so that when I meet with the other chapter, we can say, okay, I have somebody who would like to work with and maybe co-chair the silent auction. I have somebody who says they'll be in charge of the registration table. And then we'll discuss between the two chapters who's going to take on what so that we know whether or not there's anything that needs to be left to other chapters to volunteer for. So,
I think it's important that we know what are the personnel requirements? How many people, how many hours does it take to operate this thing and what they're asking us to do? So if we're going to volunteer to do something, do we know what we're volunteering for? How many man hours that we need? How many people do we need to work how many hours?
We don't, they don't know that probably.
Well,
Since
you
they're
do know.
throwing this stuff out to all the different chapters, if we're interested in something, they'll set us up. We can talk to whoever did it the last couple of times, find out what from them. But just asking the state office, I don't think they know the answers. So if we're interested in something and think we want to do it, and have the people to do it, we tell them we think we want to do it. Let's put us in contact with whoever did it before so we can find out those details.
So
And
you
if
can see
someone
what
wants to
manpower is
take-
required.
If someone wants to take the photo, an art contest, they have a tried and true chapter who did it, and they will put us, like Joseph said, they will put us in touch with that person. And there was another thing
Right.
that they had that was, and the silent auction, they also have an expert. I think Houston did an exemplary production with that, and they will put us in charge with those people, or in touch with those people.
And they want to do that sooner rather than later so that if we do get into it and you find out, oh, this is more than I thought, or I'm going to need more help, you have plenty of time to line up more help, or we can work with the other chapter to help make it happen, or to get back to the state and say, no, we've changed our mind. We don't have enough manpower to do this. Yeah, either the other chapter needs to take it on, or we will let another state chapter
Or we need help.
take
from
it
them.
on.
Yeah, so we're looking for people that are interested in running stuff, plus people that are interested in helping whoever is running the stuff. Not you can volunteer and don't have to be running everything. We just want, if you're interested, let us know because we need to figure out how many people we have that are going to help.
Yeah, Donna, is the other chapter also soliciting for these same positions? And then
Yes,
maybe a co-chairman?
they had their meeting Yes, they had their meeting,
Stop it, baby.
was it Wednesday? I can't remember when their meeting was, but they've discussed the same thing with their chapter members. And then next week, either later this week or next week, we'll be meeting with them to give them an idea of what our chapter members feel they can tackle or not tackle. So
Okay.
I'm not able to, um,
I don't know if you've been
yes,
watching
the
on
chat, yeah.
yeah, on the chat. Becky Jones said she would help with room host. We've got Anita for registration. We've got Ann working with the silent auction. I will help with move in and move out.
Okay, and I know they're
Can I
asking
make
about
a
some of the field
suggestion?
sessions. We have proposed a gazillion field sessions. I do not know yet what they are going to accept. They were wanting something within a 30-minute drive of the McAllen Convention Center. That's not going to get any of the sites that the other chapter works at. Um,
But
yeah,
they understand that, and then they're gonna figure out how to make that work too. Because there's definitely some
and
places
yes,
in their direction we need to go show people.
yeah. Kita is one of those. As they mentioned, as Marisa indicated, they're very involved with the children in nature. That is one of the sites the state did visit. They saw all the outdoor classroom setting stuff and indoor setting where that facility works with master naturalists and with the public to address all these nature needs, not only by the children but all their visitors, and how they're meeting that need in the community. So they want places that will demonstrate not only the public contact and what you can do there, but how TMN is involved at that site, and what our members do. So yes, we've gotten a long list. There's a shared folder that several of us on the committee add things to. So I can cut and paste some of these comments, but do
Can I make
take
a
a minute to,
suggestion?
yes, go ahead.
So we can, the things that people put in the chat, we can make a note of, but there's a lot of different parts, and like Joseph said,
There are.
you don't have to be a leader, but maybe you can help out with it. So why don't we make a Google form with all of that, send it out tomorrow, and get feedback so that you have that information ready for when you meet with the other chapter.
That
I
is
can
so
work on that.
cool.
And
That is
then
so much better than 100 different emails or me copy and pasting.
so let's do that, because we want this to be a success, and the more people we can get involved, the better, so that it
And
doesn't
the
fall
and
into
the and the large areas are mentioned on the agenda if you want to break it out that way.
Yes.
And like I say, this is new to us. I went to one or maybe one state meeting and maybe two before COVID hit. Then they've been all virtual. I have not been to an in-person meeting since the pandemic. So I don't know, they don't know about the turnout, what to expect down here in the valley. They do know on Saturday they were wanting to schedule a special outing to go to um, a ranch in the area that will wine and dine us and give presentations, and where we'll watch um,
Yes.
the eclipse. But they don't want it mentioned the location yet because they're still working on it and don't know if it's going to work or not, because it would require busing people to that facility. I don't know how you're going to get a bunch of buses to bus several hundred people to a place in the valley. But that's their problem to work out, but they do not want anything done in conflict with that outing on Saturday. So Saturday they said is if you don't want to go on the special outing on the bus trip or meet them at this particular location, Saturday's on your own. We can't plan a field trip that day because they're already planning a big event and don't want anything in conflict with that. Um, so that's the information we have. Joseph, yeah, go ahead, Bill.
I was gonna say, one thing, you might want to have a tentative field trip. What if it's an overcast day?
Well, they aren't thinking of that.
Yeah, they discussed a backup plan. And yes, they have to have a backup plan, but then what do you do with 10 buses you've reserved for X dollar amount and it falls through? Yeah, I don't want to be in their shoes. I'm glad they're taking care of that part. But there will be local places that we can. They would encourage us to have leaders to go on, like, and if you're not tied up with the silent auction or pre or post the silent auction, if you wanted to lead a birding trip somewhere, I'm sure somebody would be excited to do that. And there's other people that know plants and such. So not all of our state parks or places we may go will wind up having staff available to lead trips or just accompany some of the group on trips, because we may need to give them guidance as to where the trails take you, and so they're not led astray or straggling behind the group as such. So there's lots of opportunities. Thank you for considering a spreadsheet and stuff for us to better manage this. And with that, it's already 8:30, which means we've been.
One quick
Yeah.
thing for Jennifer on your. That was a great idea, by the way. When you're trying to organize us, like herding cats, we might want. There's some people who may not want to be in charge of any of this stuff, but who would potentially be interested in just volunteering to help someone do something. So maybe we could have like a category of just call me if when we get closer if you need us, or
Yes.
I don't know, something along those lines.
Yeah, definitely. I'll organize it to have that as an option.
Perfect.
And also maybe if people want to write in and say we're not going to be in the valley at that time, for sure, can't volunteer. We probably won't get a lot of answers that way, but it'd be nice to know for sure who's not going to be here.
It'd give us a better idea of the number of people who might be here.
Right, because this is, like I say, it's in October before some of our winter Texans. Some of them don't get here till November 1st.
Oh, and also some of the, like we mentioned, volunteering at the field trips. Since there's going to be the official field trips, and then before and after the event, there's going to be the unofficial field trips, where there's not going to be a main speaker, but some of us local people could be there hanging out and point out things to whoever shows up. So that's another way you can volunteer.
I just want to add something about the silent auction. I just called the RGV chapter and asked them a question about the soliciting. You talked about emails and going out and asking people for donations. She reminded me that on the registration form, they ask, are you going to bring something? So they ask all the people that register. So we're not going to have to go out. You've almost talked me out of doing this.
Well, if you're prepared to take up the slack because that's not what I understood from the state. The information that the state sends out has to originate from the people over that project. If they send out announcements about the arts and photo contest, the person over that has to develop that content for them to send out on their listserv.
That's what I thought.
So if you're, and I understood that, if you solicited for stuff, then you like I say, you have to keep track of what else coming in, not just what they decide to bring in. But yeah, I've got to say, yeah. So maybe the chapters want to work together on it.
Yeah.
So, all right, Jennifer, I know you had down a Frontier Audubon project. Do you want to discuss that a little bit?
Yes, I will just go over it very quickly. Share my screen real quick. So we discussed at the board meeting about a new chapter project at Frontera Audubon in Wesco. Many years ago, the Rotary Club put in this inspiration garden, and it's close to the road, which is Texas Boulevard in South Wesco. As you can see, the garden is really overgrown. The existing fence is in really good shape, but everything else needs to be completely redone. So taking out the old plants, replanting it, and there's actually not water run out to this garden, so we would need to run the water lines out there. I'm not sure how they established plants in the first place without water, but they did. And there's also in the middle these 4 raised beds that they did different types of gardening to be the inspiration for visitors. So, for example, there was a cactus garden, and we could decide how we want to plant. If we put in pollinators, edible plants that you can forage for, there's so many different things we can do. So we do have 6 people who have volunteered for the committee. And then of course, as we start to do like the actual digging and planting, we will need additional volunteers from to help make that happen. This picture is just the side of the garden. We can come in from the road and bring in our supplies. There's also, it's an L-shaped garden. There's a pergola that's hidden behind all the overgrown plants. That's in pretty good shape. So this could be a really great opportunity to have an ongoing project, because one of the reasons it's so overgrown is that there wasn't routine maintenance done. So we can redesign, plant the garden, and then maintain it on an ongoing basis as a chapter project. We need to go in and get some initial measurements done. There's some background work we have to do to make it an official project, but we're hoping that we can get started this spring to maybe be planting in the fall. So if you're interested in being on the committee, you can let me know and I will add you to the email list. And then, like I said, when we get to the digging part, we will ask the chapter to the rest of the chapter members to come in and help. So I'm really excited about this. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me.
Were you able to find out anything about getting a water supply out there? Because that was one of the concerns that we expressed at the board meeting. I mean, it sounds like a great project, but we are going to need water.
Great. So that's one of the things we're going to look at when we do our initial walkthrough. We don't have like dimensions of the garden. If you've been to Frontera, there's the historic house there. This garden is in the orchard south of the house, but how many feet it is from where the water tie-in is at the south end of the house to the garden, I don't know. So that's one of the things we're going to measure. Because the first thing that we would do after our initial background work would be to run the water lines, and then plan the rest of the garden in the summer when it's hot. So I walked with Chris, the director, but it's been a couple of years since I asked her about it. I don't know how many feet it is, but there's both irrigation and city water available if we can run the lines out there to the garden.
Because I think before we can adopt it I would suggest that before we decide to make this a chapter project, we find out what the cost will be to get the water to where we need it to be.
Great. So that's why we're going to go do the initial measurements, because we need to know how much pipe do we need, what are the hookups for that. So that's what that initial meeting is going to be.
Right. And then will we be paying for the laying of the pipe? Will the city do that?
So this is not city. This is like, the city brings you to the water meter, right?
Okay.
And then you run it from your water meter to your house, and that's your pipe. This will be our pipe that we're laying. This has nothing to do with the city.
So we will be providing the labor,
right?
Or hiring someone to
we will figure out what's needed to run the line.
That's our first step.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And like I say, I think we discussed Seth would be a good one to consult, because he's taking care of running water out to his place and determine who bears the cost. And if need be, maybe some of the funds, if we do the silent auction with the state, we can use some of those funds or other funds that we've gotten at silent auctions to purchase materials. But that's all something we need to decide in conjunction with their management team once we have an idea and can figure out what it might cost. Say, do we share the cost?
Yeah, there's ways we can come up with some money if we know what our target is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to come up with an initial budget. So
yeah.
Jennifer.
Yeah. Bill.
Suggest you run this presentation in front of the Master Gardener meeting, monthly meeting, and see if you can see if they'll team with us to do that. They're gardeners. It's a garden. They get the hours for it too.
I mean, we can. I think it's.
Let's discuss that
people with the
offline.
expertise in our chapter to do it as well.
Yeah,
I think
because
so too.
designing
So-
native gardens is one of our things that we're supposed to be doing. If you look under our opportunities, is designing and helping with native gardens. So yeah, we can discuss that in co-involvement with uh, master gardeners too. We can do that at a board meeting too. So,
Yeah.
all right. Anything else? I think so. We're still exploring the options for that as a possible resource or opportunity for a project for the chapter. So we'll keep you all posted on that. Does anybody have any other announcements before we adjourn? Comments? Thank you all for hanging in here. It was a longer agenda. We usually don't last this long, so hang in there with us, and maybe we'll have a shorter meeting next month, hopefully. As it is, it's almost 8:45, so that is an hour at 1.25 hours for chapter business, 1.25 for chapter business, and again, it was 1 hour of AT for the presentation. So that's 2 entries for our new members that they can make after attending tonight's um, program and chapter business meeting. And thank you all for hanging in here with us. Our next board meeting is March 6th, and our next general meeting is March 20th. Did you have something lined up yet for the March 20th meeting, Jennifer?
We did, but they have not confirmed. Robert was helping with that, so we're waiting to the end of the week, and then I have a backup. I will contact them.
All right, very good. Well, thank you all, and we'll see you next month, if not at some volunteer or other opportunity. Thank you, everyone, for participating.